Welcome back to Mr. DuPage's classroom. This lesson is for my Algebra 1 class. It is lesson 4.6, Absolute Value Equations and Inequalities, Day 2. Now we're going to talk about how to solve absolute value inequalities. The last section we talked about how to solve absolute value equations. Okay? So to solve an absolute value inequality in the form the absolute value of A is less than B, where A represents a variable expression and B is greater than 0, we need to solve two separate inequalities. The first one would be A is less than B and A is greater than negative B. Okay? So if we have the absolute value is less than a number, then it's going to be an AND problem. The first inequality will be A is less than B. The second inequality will be A is greater than negative B. If you solve an absolute value inequality in the form the absolute value of A is greater than B, where A represents a variable expression and B is greater than 0, we're going to solve as A is greater than B or A is less than negative B. Okay? Similar rules apply and are true for if it is less than or equal to or greater than or equal to. So let's go ahead and get right into some of these problems. The first problem says that my absolute value of y is less than or equal to 2. Well, if we go back up to the top, we're looking for the one that says less than. Does this say less than or does this say less than? Well, it's this one here. So I'm going to have an AND problem. So y will be less than or equal to 2 and y will be greater than or equal to negative 2. Since it is an AND problem, I can write this as a compound inequality. So negative 2 is less than y, and y is less than positive 2. I need to go ahead and graph it. So negative 2, negative 1, 0, 1, 2. Because they are both equal to, my point at each spot is going to be a solid dot. And since it is an AND problem, it is the points that overlap. They are going to overlap in the middle. So it is every point that is between negative 2 and positive 2. On to part B. I have the absolute value of w plus 3 is greater than 6. Again, if you look back up at the top, it says greater than is going to be an OR problem. It's going to be an OR problem. So w plus 3 would be greater than 6, or w plus 3 would be less than negative 6. I need to solve each of these individually, so subtract 3. W would be greater than positive 3, or I'm going to subtract 3. W would be less than negative 9. Okay? For this, each one of my tick marks is going to be worth 3, so I'd have negative 9, negative 6, negative 3, 0, 3. I cannot write that as a compound inequality because it is an OR. So the first one I'm going to look at is w is greater than 3. Well, it is not greater than or equal to. So I'm just going to have an open dot at that point. And w is greater, so I'll shade to the right. The second one I'm going to look at is w is less than negative 9. So again, it will be an open dot. I will shade to the left because w is less than negative 9. On to C. What I have to realize here is I need to get the absolute value by itself. So I'm going to go ahead and subtract 1 to start with. That would get me the absolute value of b plus 3 is less than 3. Again, a less than problem tells me it will be an AND. So it would be v plus 3 is less than 3 and v plus 3 is greater than negative 3. If I subtract 3 from both sides, v is less than 0 and v is greater than negative 6. So here I can write a compound inequality because it's an AND problem. The smallest piece will go on the left. That is negative 6. That is less than v, and v is less than 0. Okay? So if I go by 2's, negative 6, negative 4, negative 2, 0. Neither of them is greater than or equal to or less than or equal to, so they're both going to be open circles. Again, it's an AND problem, so it is where it overlaps, and that would be in between. and I am done with that problem. Just like on C, I'm going to subtract 1 on D, so 4t plus 2 would be greater than or equal to 6. It is a greater than problem, so this will be an OR problem. 4t plus 2 is greater than or equal to 6, or 4t plus 2 is less than or equal to 6. From here I can subtract 2 from both sides, so 4t is greater than or equal to 4, divide by 4. T is greater than or equal to 1, or subtract 2, 4t is less than or equal to, sorry, this should be negative 6, I apologize. This should be negative 6 over here. So negative 6, I still am subtracting 2, so negative 8, divide by 4, t is less than or equal to negative 2. Okay, so I'm going to go negative 2, negative 1, 0, and 1. They are both greater than or equal to or less than or equal to, so they're both going to have a closed circle at each point. If I look at t is greater than negative 1, or 1, I'm sorry, it will be to the right, shade to the right of 1. Then I have t is less than or equal to negative 2, so then I'll go ahead and shade to the left of negative 2. That is our lesson for the day. Make sure that if you have any questions, you bring them in tomorrow, and I will answer them for you. Otherwise, thank you very much for watching my video, and have a great day.